Stand up. All right, guys. What we're talking about today is we're talking about the installation or the assembly of the bilstein B6 4600 shocks. Then I'm going to put on the '08 6th Gen Dodge Charger RT. These are for the front. All right. Now, first thing you're going to do is you're going to compare the two, right? Now, obviously, this is the bilstein and this is the OEM. Well, actually, I don't know if these are OEM, but they are designed for the Dodge Charger. These are the ones that I took off. So let's just say that these are the OEM struts. If you notice the difference between the two, right? Note, this one has already been assembled, right? Because when you order the bilstein front shocks, it comes with the strut, the boot, and the nut, and the it's like a little clamp that's inside here, right? This right here, right? This is what it comes with. This I guess this bushing, this part right here, the seat, which is this right here. This is it. This is the bushing right here. It's gonna come with this clamp that's gonna be underneath here that this sits on. Well, it goes on the wait a minute, where do I have it at? Oh, here's it. Here's the other one that's not assembled yet, but it's this part is gonna sit on here right here like that. So I guess it's right there, like I said, yeah. And it comes again with this nut right here. So I set that back to the side, right? Now, again, you're gonna take note of the difference. Again, this one has already been installed. I've already taken the cores off the old one. Let me see if I can show you that. This is the one I took it off of, right? So you're just gonna get that strut itself and those accessories, the parts. And you're gonna have to take your old coil off and put it on the new bilstein, right? Okay, this is this one already done, right? And what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to reuse your top your cushion or your bumper that goes up under the strut. I guess this is called a strut tower. You're gonna reuse that, obviously, right? So again, I set that to the side. Now you notice the difference between the cord thickness. The spiral of the cord is smaller down here at the bottom, and it gets wider as it goes up. So when you be careful when you're putting it back on, you gotta remember that you're gonna install the lower part of this cord because they're not the same. You're gonna install the smaller portion of the cord at the base and a wider portion at the top. You could easily get confused, but you'll figure it out because it's not gonna seat well inside of here. And if you notice these, the thickness of this bushing right here, it's different than this one right here. See how thin this one is? It's a little thinner, and this one's a little thicker. And notice how the coil sits down in that little slot right there. Same way when you put when you reassemble this one, you're gonna make sure this coil right here sits into that little slot right there. It's gonna twist it around until it slides in that slot, and it has to seat down in there well, so it coils and recoils like it's supposed to when it's hitting bumps and stuff on the road, right? And of course, you're gonna look up top here. You're gonna see that one is sitting up against that bushing also. If you look at here at this one, I haven't touched this one at all. This is how it came out of there, assemble, right? And you see how that coil is sitting up against that bushing. It's the same over here. So that tells me I installed this correctly. Now, I'm gonna show you when I took that strut apart. This is the boot that came inside of it. As you can see, it's torn, so I had to replace it, right? And if you notice this boot here comes with the bump stock already attached to the boot, which is very cool. So that tells you also that this is going to be at the top here. So when I go to disassemble this one here, it's gonna sit. It's sitting in there like this here, right? And I'm going to show you the boot that I used to replace it here in a second. Now, okay, let's see. Okay, once you examine it and you remember how it's going to be put back together, then you can start to disassemble. But also, I want you to note that this is the new boot right here that I bought, and this is I bought this from the auto parts store, and this is the bump stock. Remember I told you this bump stock here that came originally on this one is made into the boot, but this one here is separate. And all you had to do was take this bump stock and sit it down into this little slot. They came with instructions on how to do that. So this is going to be the top. And if you look in there, you can see it sitting down in there. So that's the actual boot there, and that's it sitting down in there. And of course, that bump stock is going to be up against the tower bracket thing right here, just like that inside of there. And it's going to seat down in there. Also, when you're reassembling this, you want to make sure it seats perfectly down in there. Again, you don't want to have any issues, because if this coil is on top of this bumper or this bushing, it's just going to wear it out and it's going to start hitting metal to metal. So that's why you want to seat it down in there properly. And then now, guys, we'll get ready to. Also, you want to make a note of your stem here. Notice how much lip of the stem is sticking out. I didn't get a chance to measure it, but I believe that's about 3/4 inch from inside there, and that's probably about a 1/2 inch. But as long as you got enough sticking out there and that net is secured, I think I'm gonna be fine there. But this is how the shock looks totally assembled. Side by side comparison of the the front shocks on the Dodge Charger RT. I'm going to spin it around again and show you the comparison of the two, and they are identical. You always want to do one at a time, compare the one that you put together, compare it to the one that came off of the vehicle. Make sure they're correct before you start on the second one. Just in case you made any mistakes, you can correct it and you don't make double the mistakes. Right? All right, stay tuned. Stunner. All right, these are the tools that you're gonna need in order to do the job. Of course, you're gonna need a electric impact gun. You're gonna need maybe a cordless impact gun. You're gonna need like this pole right here, and I'll show you what that's used for. You're gonna use that to hammer this little piece here down on the strut. Right, you're gonna need something to slide over your stem to press down on the base of the strut to get that little piece on there. You're gonna need measurer, and I'm gonna show you. You're gonna need that measurer to keep when you adjust the coil springs adjusters, make sure you're getting even amount of pressure on each side of the coil. You're gonna need your extended 3/4 inch socket, a 1/2 inch adapter. believe this is a 1/4 inch adapter. Now this could vary depending on the tools, the metrics of the tools that you're using. But these what I needed to use for the tools that I have. Right, I believe this is a 3/4 inch extension, 1/4 inch wrench. This is a 1/2 inch extension, hammer, 3/4 inch wrench. Like I said, my coil spring adjusters, right? And it's just an extended versatile wrench right here. You're gonna need all that to do the job. If you don't have these basic tools, then you're not gonna be successful at doing the job. So get these and go from there. Stay tuned, Stunner. Alright guys, we're just about ready to start the process of removing this coil off of your original strut to be able to use on the new strut for your bilstein. Right, okay, so you got your coil adjusters, right? You're gonna need these right here to collapse the springs so you can take them off, because you can't just go up here and remove this nut. If you go up here and just try to remove this nut, guess what's gonna happen? You got all this pressure of these coils up against these bumpers. If you use an impact gun and screw that out, this is gonna kick up and you could be killed. This is a very dangerous part of the job, not to take lightly. Right, I'm going to show you some safety measures that you can take in order to do this safely as possible. But note, this is very dangerous because of the pressure that this coil spring is under. Understand this is steel metal pressed in, right? It's under a lot of pressure, and this is a gas strut, so this is very dangerous. So the first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna need these spring adjusters that are going to compress the spring, make them come together, and these are going to hold it in place. So when you do use your gun to screw this nut out, the coils will be held in place as this comes out, and you can pull this strut completely out. Without that, it's sitting under pressure right now. If you try to do it again, it's gonna boing, and it could go up this way, could take your head off literally. Right? All right, first you need to understand what you're dealing with your coil adjusters, right? You got this end right here, you got two parts of it. This part right here is completely screwed on to the threads, and this one adjusts itself back and forth. Now you could put it on here this way toward the tower, or you could put it on, hold on, I got stuck in here, which is the wrong way, by the way. Let me get this. Let me get this. Wow. All right, there we go. Here we go. Or you can put it in this way with this end facing this way, which is the end you want to do it. Reason being, with your extension, you don't want this right here. If you put it in this way and you try to use your impact gun is going to be hitting up against this right here. See, once this seated down in there, it's going to be hitting up against this right here, and that's going to be a problem. But you got more clearance on this side right here, because I guess because it slopes downward, or at least this is the way it works for me. Sorry about that, I'm got the thing bumping all over the place. But anyway, you're going to take your coil, and you don't need to put it on the last one because you really don't have any room for it. So just put it on the second one, and again you put it on the first one that you can get it on, and you're just gonna hand screw it right with your hand until it starts to get tight, because you see it starting to collapse inward, and you want to make sure those hooks are actually hooking up against the coil, because that's the only way that it has to be secure, because that's the only thing that's going to make the coils collapse. And you want to make sure it's parallel to the stem of the strut, right? So I hand tighten that, Now what I can do is, just to get it started, I won't use my impact wrench. That's where I use my just a regular wrench, and I will start to, like I said, you got to use the I believe that this is 1/2 inch extension. Slide it in there and start tightening it up, just so ever so slightly, making sure this is still parallel to the neck of the strut. Now that's tight enough hand wise. Now when you put the second one on, you want to put that directly on the opposite side of the coil of the coil, right? You might be able to, again, you want to put it in this on the same spring that you put this one on. So when you compress it, it's equal on both sides. So you're gonna put that one on there like that. Spin this around. This one, I should have adjusted this before I put it on there. Well, you see that one is on this coil, so you want to make sure this tool part is on that end also. See, this is where that measuring comes in at. Like I said, this is the measuring there, so that's about 3 1/4. That's about 3 1/2. So obviously this one is sprung out a little farther, but you want to make sure you put it on the opposite end of that one, right? And again, you start hand tightening it. It don't necessarily have to be 180 degrees on both sides, right? But as long as it's across from each other, and you just start hand tightening it, making sure both of them seated down on there, right? Okay, you see that's starting to come together, starting to get tight. That one ain't completely seated. So, right, you see they're both on opposite sides of one another. So I'm going to start to tighten it down. Of course, that's not seated all the way in there, so I just bang on a little bit to make sure that's seated down in there pretty good. And your hand tighten. And this is the reason why you hand tighten it, because you use the impact gun this soon. It's harder to do. It's easy to do it when you're using just a regular wrench. Now you're gonna need an impact gun because it's gonna get harder and harder to tighten these coils, right? This one keep coming off a little bit, so you just keep adjusting it, because you don't want this thing real tight and this is not seated down on there, because it could pop out. Right, you're gonna kind of keep going back and forth, adjusting it. You see how those are completely seated down on there, and it's starting to get tight. So you notice how the coils, they're starting to compress, and it's getting harder and harder to do. Now, okay, now that's seated decent enough that it's curled around that lip, right? So you're gonna take your tape measure, you're gonna measure, and you're gonna say that's what, that's about 3 1/4. That's about 3 1/4, right? Space between them. So that lets you know that it's equal pressure on both sides. And you're going to keep doing that throughout the process. Now, when I've done the first one, I already know where I need to get to be able to get this nut out. I'm going to need it at 2 inches. So I'm going to need to compress the spring down to about 2 inches on both sides. Now, you don't necessarily, you can be, feel okay a little bit to not have any like real protection when you're tightening it. It's the you're gonna need real protection when you get ready to screw this nut out right here. But for now, you don't necessarily need that. It's not that dire of a need for safety. But however you decide to do it, that's on you. But I'm just saying right now, you're okay. Now if you see I made all my adjustments. I got that on that and that on that. All these. Wait a minute, I got too much going on here. Hold on, let me I got this small extension on here. Got this big. Here we go. That's what I ended up with. Right. And of course I'm trying to tighten it. So what I'm going to do is, and if you notice I got this the base of it pressed up against this pool table here, so that'll keep it from flying off the table in the event something happens. Again, remember I told you about that clearance that you needed on this end right here. See how I got clearance, and this is straight. This is a straight shot to there where that can slide in there, and I'm just going to slowly tighten it. Give it a few spins on that end. Take this out. Readjust my connection. Some of this other stuff, I got stuff everywhere. I'm not gonna need those for now. That I'm gonna come over here. All right, and I'm gonna put it into the other one. See how I barely got clearance there. And I'm going to a couple spins. Try to have it make the spins even on both sides. If you do 5 spins over here, do 5 spins over here. I come back in here and measure it. So now I'm at 3 inches. And that one is just a little under 3 inches. So I'm getting faster here. So that means I need to adjust this one now. So I pull it back out. And I tighten it. You don't want to go too fast. This is just a process. So now that's at 2 3/4. That one is at 2 3/4. So they're about equal. So that's an equal amount of pressure on both sides right now. So it don't matter which side I start on. I can keep this still in here. So I'm probably trying to get this down to 2 1/2. Also, you keeping a lookout for this spring that is not bowing up too much in the top or the sides or in the bottom. You're gonna make sure these your adjuster poles are still straight, because if they start to bend, it'll break, and then you got a bad situation. That lets you know you don't have equal pressure on both sides. If you have a bow, if you look at both of these, you can see they're both straight. That lets me know that I'm doing an equal amount of pressure on both, right? Because if this one was at 2 1/4 and this one was at 2 3/4, that's a whole 1/2 inch off, and it will start bowing, and that will compromise your adjuster, and that will make it dangerous. So that's why you go back and forth, making your tightening up of your adjuster, right? So here we go. All right. Readjust it. All right. Again, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna measure. So now I'm getting close to about 2 1/2. I'm already at 2 1/2 there. Remember, again, we're trying to get down to 2 inches. I'm doing? All right. See where we at. All right, 2 1/4. 2, still about 2 inches. So I need to do a little more here. All right, let's see. So now we're getting close, a little less. So I'm gonna come back over here. Take it again. So now this one is at 2 inches. So this one is set. This one is still not at 2 inches. Right? So I just need to focus on this one. And I'll be there. Once I get this one down. Alright, let's see. Now that one is at, wait a minute. Not quite. Not quite. Alright, let's see. Getting there. Alright, that's about 2 inches. That one's at 2, so that's where we want to be. So now, here's the good fun part. Now I don't need to do this anymore. I can take this off. Set it to the side. Now I can get ready to focus on the net right here. And let's see. What was that? Is it a 3/4? Yeah, 3/4 inch. Right? And now this is the dangerous part. Right? So now we got this compressed. So that pressure is off of this right here. So now we could take this out. I'm nervous already. Alright. Messing around there, but this is where the impact wrench comes in at. This one is less powerful. So this one is less of, this one will make it come out slower. Right? So I'm just going to put it on a slower speed. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to put it on the floor. And we're going to do it. That's the safest way for me. Just in case it does collapse, it will do it on the floor. And I'm going to be on top of it. So what I do is I take a little mat down here, pull it up, and I'm going to carefully pick up my strut. I'm going to sit it down on the ground there like that. And you can see there's a, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's already a gap in there. Lets me know that weight is off of that bushing right there. Then I'm going to take my other mat that I got, and I'm going to put it over top of here. That way, when if this thing pops up, I can smother it and it won't hit me. Right? Even though I don't think it will, because I've already taken all the pressure off of it. But I got my impact gun, and I'm gonna drop this camera down. I'm gonna show you guys. Maybe I should change angles. That's what I'll do. Come this way, and I'll show you guys me doing it from that angle there. That way you can see it getting ready to come off of it, come out of there, and still be safe at the same time. So you want to do this slowly. It's no rush to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to straddle the thing, and I'm going to slowly take this net off. So I got it on the lower setting. Slowly give the spring a chance to expand without jumping out there. It's coming off there. I can already feel the pressure off of there. I already feel it being light. I'm starting to go slowly. This is already loose on there. The pressure's already off. So I can just go ahead and take it out of there. See, that is that net off of there. And I take that out of the way. And as you can see, comes right off of there. Guess what? Watch the strut slide out of there. That strut slid right out of there. Right? And that is it being disassembled. As you can see, that core is still intact. And I can just take the boot out with my hand. Remember, it is still under pressure, so be careful with it. Treat it like a grenade. There's that boot I was telling you about, that with the bump stock connected, right? And there is the strut there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the install of the core to the new strut. Stay tuned, Stunner. Alright, here we are at the point where we're getting ready to disassemble the old OEM strut. Now, I've already done all the collapsing and everything. This is it before I pull it apart. Right, I already took the nut out. This is how it comes off, like that. Remember, the cores are still compressed in the adjusters. That's the rubber boot, but with the bump stock attached. This is the strut coming off. All right, we'll see. I already took that little net off there. That was on there. That comes out. So here's the strut. All right, it's simple. So you got left is the spring, the coil itself, which is what you need. And this one was old, like I said. It's just a matter of time. This one was tearing, so I had just to replace it. Right, and that's what I replaced it with. These are just some third-party boots for the strut. Comes with a bump stock, right? So now I have the strut, right? And this is how it comes out of the box. So now what I gotta do is get this packaging off of here. And what I'm gonna do to do that, I'm just going to do this off camera. I'm going to press down on it to relieve the pressure on this strap. Now you don't want to just cut it, because you cut it, of course the strut is going to pop out. So you're just going to, let me see if I can do it on camera. I think what I did was I took a bar. Yeah, I took a bar right here, just like this, and I pressed down on it, right? if I can do it without. Let me see. It's kind of hard to do on camera. Let me see. Because I am not, look. Got too much, not enough space here. Might be able to do it this way. Hope you guys can see that. I'm gonna press down on it with all my weight. Push down on it. There we go. Get it out of there. That's how you do that. That gets that strap off of there. And you just got your little tab on here. Just pop this off. It's just to protect the tip here. All right, so we get that out of the way. And we come back over here, bring the camera back around, and this is what you got. All right. So now I got my strut, got my coil, got my pieces, right? So now I got my boot, my bump stop, I got my cap, and we got my nut. All right, let me see. Take this is the old nut. Set that to the side. Put this new nut over here so I don't misplace it. And this is the cap. Now this is what you needed this for, right? You can use anything, any type of pipe. I took this off of my jack for my car, my hand jack, and I'm using that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this cap on here, like this right here. You see it's hard to go on there. And you're just going to take this pole right here and just going to put it on there like that. And you're just going to hammer it down on there. Let me see if I can show you that. I'm having to do a lot of stuff to show you guys how this goes. Right? You're going to put that on down like that. You're going to make sure it's seated down on it just right. Let's see if that's on camera. Yeah. Seat it down on there, right, centered. And you're just going to take your hammer and you just tap down on it. You just keep tapping. And what you see here, it's already halfway on there, but if you see those little grooves right there, you want to make sure this cap is on there to where you don't see these grooves anymore. That lets you know that it's seated down on there, right? And you spin it around, and it looks like it's seated down on there. Well, this side is up a little bit, so I put a little more pressure on that side. And just a little tap to it. Oh, that's a little crooked. So I can kind of tap right on that side a little bit. And you want to look. And when you look down in there, you're going to make sure that the light you see is equal light on all sides. And that appears to be the case. And you don't see the little lines anymore. So that means I'm seated down on there. You see how flush that is? You know, that end there is up just a little bit. I guess I'll tap on it. All right. And it's seated down on there. Right? There you go. So now we swing. You don't need that anymore. Swing back over here to where we were. Now you got your strut. And remember what I was telling you about earlier. You got this top part right here that's real wide. This coil is wider in diameter, and this coil is smaller in diameter. Now, this is the part that came in the box. So this is the base part right here. Oh, did I mess up? I should have put, yeah, I messed up. Oh man. I was supposed to put this on first before I put that thing on there. But what I can do is I can tap it off. I tapped it on, I can tap it off. Oh man, I shouldn't have did that. But I'm gonna take, hopefully that ain't tap it too good. I can take like my little Phillips head and pry it out of there. Hopefully. I kind of got ahead of myself. So what I try to see if I can. Oh man, I hate that. Learn from my mistakes. It's gonna be. Do this. Stay tuned, stun it. Alright guys, I'm back. Got it off of there. I just put some tape on there, took my little flathead and a hammer, and I just hammered it off of there. So I got a little too excited for the install. Alright, I take my little tape off here. Got that one to paint on there. Anyway, so what you're gonna do, of course, you're gonna put this on here first, and then you're gonna put this. I don't think it matters if I being on there. I think that's gonna make a difference. Yeah, as long as you got that base part on there, you're straight. Cause see, this stops it, right? So make sure you put that on there. You're gonna do what I said before. You're gonna use that pole and tap it back on there. I already showed you guys how to do it, so I'm just do it real quick off camera. Kind of speed things up a bit. I already got myself behind a little bit with that blender. Alright, cool. Let's see. Oh, I didn't mess it up yet. Good. Almost done. Let me see. I think it's about right. Do it one more time just to be sure. Couple more taps. Alright. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with that. Now, see. That's what that is for. To keep this from coming off of there. Right? And I'm satisfied that that's seated on there pretty good. Yeah, let me tap it a couple more times just to be sure. Alright, got that. Now, what we can do is now we got that on there, got that slid on there. Now we can just slide this bushing on here is what we're going to call it. Remember, this smallest part going to be on the base. This is the top part. But first you're going to do is you're going to take, well, you could just take your boot. I probably would just take my boot and push it down in here, right? Seat it down in there, and just take the strut and run it up in there. Now remember what I was saying about this seating inside of this bushing. correctly, right? So I'm going to get some of this stuff out of the way. Let's see, I'm gonna need this, not that. Put that there, and I'm going to, you want to make sure it's seated down in there correctly. And I'm going to spin that around to where that is going to slide into this little slot right here. Remember, like I was telling you guys. And it can be a little complicated because it has to be aligned correctly. So you're gonna have to do a little bit of wiggling here and there to get it like it's supposed to go. So for now, you can just seat it down in there, just make sure it's lined up, ready to go. And you're gonna take your tower here, you're gonna inspect this bushing right here, and this one is good enough. This is the original one that came on here, so I didn't need to replace it. And there's the bump stock. And you're just gonna sit that on there like that, and push the stem up in there like that. And remember, I told you that has to rest up against there. Remember, this thing is still under pressure, so be careful with it. And the trick is to get this coil pressed up against here into that slot. Which can be tricky because you're trying to work the boot around that's in here. And you're trying to make sure, okay, you're trying to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be, so it can slide in there correctly. As you can see, it's starting to work itself in there, right? And you see there, it's sliding in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to twist it. See how I twist it right in that slot? See, it's in that little slot now. And I twist it, and it's locked and pressed up against there. You can't really see it because of this coil thing in the way, but it's pressed in there, And remember, this end here is pressed up against there, so that's in there tight. So now, got my nut right here. I can put it on there with my hand tighten it, and this is where your little ratchet is going to come in at. Remember, you're using the 3/4 inch extension, which I need to find out where I put it. Everything should be within reaching distance, but I don't know where I put it. Is it still on the thing? Oh, here it is. Still on my impact wrench. But anyway, and I don't need the extension for what I use it, right? So I come here. Remember, it's still under pressure, and make sure everything's still lined up. And that nut is on there, right? I got the nut on there. Just put that nut on there. I don't know if you saw it or not. You're just going to put it on there just enough, and you're just going to tighten it. Wait a minute. Get it started. You just want to get it just tight enough so you can press it down. So you don't want to use the impact gun because that's going to force it to get off line. I mean, guys, we're really pretty much done at this point, but we still got to take these clamps off of here, right? But I'm just hand tightening this so it fits. I'm just ratcheting it down, and you want to make sure this nut is on here good, because when you start releasing this, if this nut is not on here, there's nothing to keep this thing from shooting out. So you want to make sure it's on there tight enough. You're going to keep ratcheting it down till you can't do it anymore by hand. And you want to see just enough of that neck of the bolt to where you know that the net is, the bolt is on there. And I'm getting there, which I can kind of use the little impact gun a little bit to speed it up just a little bit. See, I'm gonna tighten it. See, the impact wrenches let me know it's tight enough. It's getting tight. Right. Take it off and try to hand tighten it again. Mess around with my bolts. Oh, I forgot, guys. This is another tricky part. This is where you're gonna need an 8mm, and what is that, a 3/4? This is where the 3/4 and the 8 come in. See this little, the tip of the bolt is, you're gonna need to hold that and put the 3/8 on there and tighten it, because the whole thing is spinning at this point. And that's, again, just to keep this thing from spinning off under a lot of vibration. So what you're going to do is you can take the 3/4 inch, sit it in there like that, and turn. Let's see, how did I do that? I'm gonna put that in there like that and turn that. Let me see. Yeah, like that. Because you got a lot of play in there right now. So you can take and hold it down like that, and take the 8mm like that, and set it till it starts to tighten. Am I going the wrong way? Oh, that's coming off of that one. Okay, so I was loosening it. Let me retighten it. It's kind of hard to do with the camera. Alright, here we go. Starting to tighten. This is just where I want it. Got the 3/4 inch holding that down, and right now what you're ready to do is you're ready to take your impact gun back out and to fully tighten this down. Again, you want to make sure all this is still lined up correctly. I think that is still spinning. Let me see. It's all a process. Alright, I can do a little bit of speeding it up a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now, and that's getting real tight up in there. So you can kind of do that until you want to get it tight. Alright, I think that's about the same length as it was for the other one. You don't want to have too much. Alright, so that's about where I'm at with that one. So now you're basically done. As you can see, it's pressed up against there. That one is inside of that little slot. So now all we got to do, guys, is take the cords off and we're done. and this thing will be fully assembled. Now again, it's still under pressure, so you got to remember to be very careful. Right? And you're going to use the same process. Right? Now you're just taking it apart. So you're going to stick that in there. And what I do is I usually, just to be on the safe side, I use my little mat. And I put it like kind of in between there as a little shield. And then I start my loosening up. And again, couple spins on that side. Trying to keep this press up against here. Spins on that side. Spins on that side. Readjust my strut. Spins on that side. Back and forth. Remember, it's still under pressure. I can feel it getting ready to come off of there. Okay, that one is off. You heard it drop. And that one is off of there. Guess what, guys? I can just take my tool out of there. Take out my adjusters. Just kind of try to wiggle it out of there. Come on, I'm done with you. This can be tricky. It's not under pressure anymore, so you don't have to worry about it. And there you have it. You inspect it. Remember, that is up against there. This one here. See it sticking out right there? That coil is inside of there. And that nut is poking out there. Now what you're going to do is, when you get it back under load, and you put it up underneath the car and reattach it to the car, you're gonna retighten this down some more. I don't think there's any torque specs on it, but you want to just make sure that this is tightened down enough. But that is how you install, uninstall front shock struts for your Dodge Charger RT bilstein B6 4600. Stay tuned, Stunner.